Hi, and welcome back to another episode of Unlocking Venture Capital. I'm here with Jennifer from Halogen Ventures. How are you, Jennifer?
Hi.
Thank you so much for joining us. So excited to talk to you about your fund and about you and your journey. I had the great pleasure of meeting Jennifer actually through one of the people that she hired newly on her team, Monica. So I'm very excited
Woo!
for her to
We love
start with
Monica.
your team. Amazing. So, Jennifer, please tell us a little bit about Halogen and how it got started and what brought you to Halogen as a partner today.
Thank you. Yeah. So Halogen, we are an early stage consumer tech fund and a B2B strategic venture firm really focused on female in the founding team of five. The firm was founded by Jesse Draper. She's a fourth generation VC who has really grown up in the tech space and has had her own tech show and is just a big megaphone for investing in female-led companies. Partnered Halogen, and I am based in the New York office, aka my office. I lead the East Coast. So really happy to be here today. And thank you so much for having me. I can tell you a little bit about my journey. I don't know if that helps, of
Yes,
like how I got to now.
that would
Um,
have been my second question anyway.
Really? Okay, cool. You can, like, rewind, like, I don't know, 20 years ago, graduated from college. I went to Northeastern University in Boston. And well, let's move back even further than that and how I grew up. My mom and dad, they moved to America when they're in their teens, came from nothing. So my dad was an entrepreneur, really started his own business, very self-made, really reflected the American dream. So I was really proud of that. I was always into the small business. I grew up in the pharmacy that he had built, and so I really admired him. So when I went to college, I studied business. I was always into numbers, and then, graduated, started my career in the family office space, investing in fund managers across the board in different asset classes to directly into companies as well. So really proud of that. And I really specialized in investing in venture capital and private equity funds, which really was an interest of mine because, of my dad and all the really cool tech that, that we were investing in through these funds. So it really
Absolutely.
inspired me. Then I was like, well, let's go to business school and learn more. And then upon graduation, landed at working at a very innovative center. It's called Center of Excellence at Shiseido, where I really supported companies in launching their campaigns, launching new product lines, and also just like strategic operations and growth for the firm. And then after that, I advised the really amazing VC, Odile Rouge, who founded Fab Ventures. It's a fashion and beauty tech venture firm. And she was a former CEO of Lancome. So it was like really, really awesome. And then, was introduced to Halogen and haven't left since and really enjoy it and investing in female founders.
It seems like you have had such a great career, especially with a lot of influence that you've had in the investment space. So you came as like a career investor, really, from different parts of the ecosystem, which is so great. And you've probably heard of the Draper family before you've joined because they have been around forever, one of like the families of VC of all places. So what kind of things did you hear that made you just really excited to join Halogen in the first place? And you're like, I need to dive into this. I need to work with this person. I need to do this. And this is like the right move right now.
Was just that everything Jessie has built, she has built an incredible portfolio of companies. When I joined, we're invested in over 70 companies to date, investing in really, really cool consumer technologies across the US. The Draper family, yes, legendary family. And fun fact is that when my husband was getting his PhD at Columbia, he started his career as a scientist, but was always really interested also in, the startup space. And
Okay,
so
great.
he had read one of the books that Jesse's grandfather had written, which got him really interested even more. It's called The Startup Game. So if anyone wants to read that, and that's what really drew his interest in actually pursuing his career also in venture capital.
That is so great. You guys are like powerhouses in the space. That's awesome. Maybe you will then also build that kind of generation the same way that Jesse's family did and brought that kind of trickle down inspiration, if you will.
We can start our kids very early, yes.
Did you find that when you were going into, more of a generational family office style, again, that it was very different than when you were in VC in the fashion tech space?
I mean, the fashion space was, it was what I really seen a big shift on from like working, over 10 years ago or, in the family office space versus like where I am now is seeing the diversity
Mm,
of the types of investors, right? And, seeing more representation to me, like it makes me proud. Seeing more women, seeing more different diversity in race it's really changed. And from what I'm seeing in the New York space, and I think we talked about this last week about how I went to a Mother's Day luncheon with
yes.
women from all asset classes. And I think it's because I'm in this like female focused fund space that I naturally surround myself with women. But, having brunch at a Mother's Day event like a week or 2 weeks ago, I think I told you this, where I'm like, I'm having, brunch with women from, hedge funds, credit funds. And I'm like, yeah, I've seen a big shift. There's more women and people of color. And they're like, what are you talking about? That's not what I'm seeing because I work in finance and
Yeah.
in my office, I see just men. And so I'm like, oh, maybe it's just me. And, so what I've seen for myself though is and in the venture capitalist space, there has been a big improvement. And that's why we make this mandate of, we're not a man hating club. We love men. We will invest in men, but it's just that there needs to be a female in the founding team of five.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you guys being an all-female fund and, part of your mandate being what we talked about before, which was that you really support a mother's work-life balance and kind of what that future looks like for modern families, I find to be so interesting. So how did this vision of this kind of investment thesis got to where it is now? How did it evolve?
It is. We have a big childcare crisis in America. I don't know if you've read the latest childcare article released by the New York Times on how even like the middle class in New York is struggling paying for childcare costs and
Mm,
how it's so inaccessible. There are childcare deserts in America. And then frankly, it's getting even more unaffordable. So very difficult in terms of like accessibility and affordability for many Americans. At Halogen, we're really focused on this future of family space, a technology that really helps families thrive at work, home, and school. We think about the career woman or the mom that wants to keep her career and build her career. And how do we do that? How are we able to allow more mothers to advance in their careers? And it's through help, childcare help,
mhm.
support. And so we're looking at affordable, accessible childcare, family technologies that make it more efficient to manage life in and around the home. And so one portfolio company that we're really, really proud of is called Upwards.
Okay.
And it was formerly known as We Care, but it's the largest in-home childcare network in America. And so with Upwards, what families can do is that they can match with qualified local caregivers that can meet their budgets or their unique needs. And then so, for example, a caregiver can start their own daycare at their own home at a fraction of a cost than a traditional daycare like a Bright Horizons or a KinderCare. And they have the opportunity to make up to like $100,000 doing it. And, with that childcare crisis in America around affordability and that coverage, Upwards addresses these issues. And, they're able to work with big companies like Panasonic, Wendy's, JCPenney, and even the government to provide these subsidies to their workers, make it more affordable for their families.
Okay. Is this done through insurance or is this kind of direct to consumer style?
So they have like a B2B, strategic B2B kind of play. And then also like consumers can go onto the Upwards website and find a local daycare center for my child in the New York area. That's local to me. That is a fraction of a cost of a daycare, traditional daycare.
That's amazing.
We're proud of that.
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely. And so in terms of, your focus being modern families and modern mothers and how you're helping making their daily lives a lot easier, I was wondering in terms of, when as you guys are building and things like that, like how do you kind of see your community of the end end users, so the audience, actually kind of responding and kind of waiting, like, what's Halogen going to do next? Do you ever feel like that you're really leading in this space, because it's such a white space after all? It absolutely is. And I hope that more people get to invest in these areas, because I think it's really important.
There's a huge opportunity in, family technology, caregiving. We're seeing so many deals around this. There's
Love it.
just so, yeah, I mean, there's just so much opportunity here to provide that support and care for families. In addition to that, like what's going on in the home and what we're really focused on at Halogen is, you know, we're all about accessibility and affordability, right? So it's like we're looking at the consumerization of healthcare and how consumers are taking healthcare into their own hands. And what does that look like? Like, well, bringing accessibility. Can we do some at-home tests, customized healthcare plans based on a urine test that you could do at home? Or we're invested in a unicorn called Everly Health, where you could take your multiple types of tests at home regards to Lyme disease, COVID, and all other kinds of diseases. So we're really, really excited about that. And then also we're invested in a four-wall business called Within. It's a
Okay.
New York-based firm that's really focused around traditional Chinese medicine and
Mm,
holistic ways of healing
mm,
and acupuncture. We are really into this. It's accessible, it's affordable. If it's FSA, HSA eligible, everyone, go check it out. There's a location in Flatiron, Williamsburg, and there's one coming soon in the upper side of the city. So we're very excited. But what they're really focused on is, making sure that healing the customer in different ways of, through acupuncture and pressure points.
mm.
And it really helps clients with stress, chronic back pain, insomnia, anything. I mean, so many, like multiples of types of treatments. So we're really proud of that. And acupuncture has been practiced for thousands of years. Lots of research, showing that it's really effective. And then lastly, we're invested in the space of fintech, and the theme around that has been the democratization of financial management tools. And that has been great. Actually, we have a male CEO of one of the companies within this space called Trust and Will, Cody Barbo. He's amazing. It's basically the TurboTax of estate planning. So you can sign up, anyone can sign up and start planning their future. And it's going to be a big shift in generational wealth. And then we're also invested in Elvis that's really focused on, putting more money into the hands of women and allowing them to understand what it's like to invest, how to invest and
Yeah.
build your career. And think about, if, planning your finances around having a baby, taking that maternity leave that every woman should have. So those are the big themes. So it's like, it's this whole encompassing, these supporting families, women, and just parents in and around the home.
Yeah, that's exactly why I, thought of and visualized it kind of more like a community feel kind of a thing, right? With followings and things like that. I wanted to also just touch on the point that you made about the Eastern medicine, like acupuncture and medicine. And when I was a kid, I just remember this flashback that I was in so much discomfort, whether it was the bitter hot medicine that you had to like drink in order to get rid of something, because it's always about inflammation of something in your body, or if it was about acupuncture because you got injured or those kinds of things. And I would have to explain to my friends in Canada, like what I was going through. And it was really, really hard because user adoption wasn't there. And I grew up Canadian. So my parents had to bribe me with a lot of Halloween candy to get me to stay in the room and receive the acupuncture, or stay in the room and finish that really bitter medication that they're like, this is really good for you. I'm like, I don't believe you. And so kind of going through that, and it's so interesting that you say that, now that you guys are investing in that, you're kind of bringing this back here, which this happened when I was a kid. I didn't have to explain so
What
much.
did you think? Like overall, it helped.
Yeah, it did help, but it was just like, because you can't see an immediate effect right away as a child, your attention span is just like, you feel a lot of anger until you get the Halloween candy, and then you feel less anger. But and then you have to do the cycle over and over and over again for like months on end, right? And I'm like, why this is like no one else has to do this. So it gives me a bit of relief that now more people are doing this.
More people are doing it, and what I see is that this is really going to be, it's really going to make it mainstream. They have a product line as well. They're distributing over 100 retailers. So you can even find it in the West Coast. If you're in Erewhon in LA, you can find some products. But really what it is about is transparency and having the consumer understand what they're taking.
Yeah.
So their biggest line of biggest sellers are like their vitamins. And so if you had known, like, this is what's in here and this is what's
Right.
how it's going to make you feel, and this
Right.
is targeting, that's what they're doing. So they have a whole line of really beautiful vitamins that I am like a die-hard consumer. I mean, I am doing their ear seeds. So you'll see some ear seeds on me
Oh,
on both ears. So I also do, I have their vitamins. I take their daily calm. I take their sleep well. I take their daily glow. I also have their acupuncture mat. I have a million ear seeds in different colors. I even have an exclusive holiday collection because I love it.
there's a holiday collection.
So, I mean, I'm literally living the life
Yeah.
of a
Yes.
wiccaner. Like,
Yes.
and acupuncture really, really helps. It's helped
Yeah.
me
Absolutely.
sleep so much better.
Yeah.
So, highly recommend everyone, please check it out. It's amazing. And the space is great too. And
Yes.
it's at a very accessible a price. You wouldn't think so, but it's, it's very accessible.
One thing I truly love and the way that, Jesse has also kind of created this values driven and mission within the fund is that you yourself is such a user of the product. It's really adamant to be able to kind of see that every time I talk to you, I get inspired by how much you are involved with your portfolio companies because there are a lot of investors that are very just I'm driven by this, and this is what I do, and these are the outcomes that I have, right? But you really embody all the values that Halogen brings, and all the things that you guys bring to your startup. So that's insanely inspiring to see.
We are all hands on deck. We're actually,
Yeah.
I don't know if I mentioned this to you, but we're starting a halogen operators program, which basically brings all the big leaders in every single space that you can imagine into our program and to help and support our companies. We're really excited about, we're always thinking about building and helping our founders grow. So I think this is going to be a pretty powerful group of operators that are going to help support and advise our companies in various ways.
And they will also then use all of the products like you do, including the holiday collections.
Yeah, I eat it all up.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much, Jennifer, for joining me on another episode of Unlocking Venture Capital. And thanks everyone for tuning in.
Thank you.